Hey, welcome to Hobby Evolution. Just make sure it's been a couple weeks. What is up? What is happening? Good morning. Happy Sunday. We are back. I am jet lagged. I also discovered as I hit the live button this morning, I can no longer stream live to X, Twitter. You have to have a premium account now. We knew that was coming down the pipe. Apparently, that happened here within the last 2 weeks. So I'm not giving Elon my money. So I'll just have to post the link before the show, which I failed to do today. But oh well. I am jet lagged. Jet lagged. We got in. I didn't know. I think I said today's July 14th. I said that I wasn't going to come back with Hobby Evolution until July 15th because I didn't know my schedule. And I didn't. Because I wasn't paying attention to our flight times and all that. We did get back at a decent time, which I actually prefer. I prefer not taking the red eye on international flights, and it actually worked in our favor. Really going both ways. I do get jet lag. I have it where I have a blazing headache. I don't know if blazing is the right term, but I have a freaking cracking headache for lack of sleep. Because it's what time? It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Switzerland, and in the last 36 hours, I've had 5 hours of sleep, something like that. So I liked it going over because we flew out, I think, in the afternoon. So we drove to O'Hare, flew out of Chicago, and there was no direct flights to Geneva, which is where we started our trip. So we had to fly from Chicago to Newark, and then we flew out from Newark to Geneva. So we had a short delay in Newark. Not really a delay, layover, I should say. We did have a delay. We had a short layover and then a short delay getting off the road. We had to wait. Gosh, it was a little over an hour sitting on the plane. And then on top of that, but the flight to Geneva wasn't that long. Comparatively speaking, it was still 6-7 hours, I think. But it was smooth. Outside of that, sitting on the runway for an hour before takeoff in Newark, everything else was smooth on the flight over. I always wonder when I'm in airports, there's got to be celebrities. Like everybody sees celebrities walking through airports, but I never do, rarely. And I can't really remember how many celebrities I've seen. Well, I saw a few in my travels to Switzerland at O'Hare in the same gate. They were taking off because we had a short layover. Was it? Yeah, short layover. Wait, we got there early. Yeah, because Chicago is where we departed. So we were there early, and flying out of our gate was WWE wrestler Big E. I mean, he's like recognized. If you follow wrestling, he's recognizable. And so I'm like staring. I'm like, that's Big E. My wife has no idea. She's like, why don't you just stop being a creep and staring at him and just go over and say hi? And I'm like, nah, I don't want to bother him. So saw Big E. And then we flew out of Newark to Geneva, Switzerland, and we were at our gate, and I saw Team USA bags. Women carrying. There were a couple women carrying Team USA bags, and I'm like, I wonder what sport they are, because Geneva, Switzerland is like right on the French border, right to France. Of course, the Olympics coming up in what, a week in Paris. So I didn't recognize them. And then we go to board, and there was a woman with a Team USA bag right behind me boarding the plane. So I chatted her up, and I'm like, are you going to Paris? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, what sport? And she's like, basketball. And I'm like, basketball? And gosh, what the hell was her name? She played in the WNBA. She's played for like every team in the WNBA. She played at Tennessee for Pat Summitt. And this is 3-on-3. let me see if I can find drawing a blank. Sierra Burdick. Sierra Burdick and the entire 3-on-3 women's basketball team was on the flight, including head coach Jennifer Rosati and Haley Van Lith, who's now going to her third university to play basketball. Ryan Howard, and I can't remember the fourth player. So it was kind of cool because they were standing near us, picking up luggage in Geneva, and it was just kind of cool to see them in like it's like animals in a zoo. Like when you see celebrities in the wild, like watching them act like normal people, it's like, wow, they're normal people. And I've met so many celebrities in my life, and yet I still get that like, huh, they have the same conversations we do in the airport. So that was kind of cool. So those were the only celebrities that I saw. Although there were 3 or 4 guys that obviously were they were from America. They were flying back from Zurich on our way back yesterday, and they were I'm sure members of a band. I didn't recognize them. One guy had a guitar, so I got to look because Taylor Swift was in Switzerland when we were there. So I'm just wondering if they opened for Taylor Swift or if they were there for whatever. We found out we didn't know Taylor Swift was performing in Switzerland until we were in Lucerne, and we were me and my buddy were at the hotel bar, and there were some Americans sitting next to us and a family, and so we started talking to them, and they're from Boston, and they were they came into Lucerne, and then they were going to go off to was it Zurich? Yeah, Zurich is where she played, right? Yeah, Lucerne, Zurich. So we actually looked in because we got into Zurich on Wednesday, this past, Wednesday. So we actually looked into getting tickets, but we toured. We spent the day in Bern that day. So our schedule was we're going to get into Zurich around 5 p.m. And we ended up not getting into a little after 6 because we spent more time in Bern than what we had scheduled. But we went to eat at a nice, was it an Italian? I think it was an Italian place in Zurich, just down from our hotel. And we were at dinner, and before dinner, I'm like, we don't have to go to the concert. Maybe we should just go down to like the area the concert is just to say we were there. And my wife's like, let's just wait till after dinner to see how we feel. So we eat, and then it's like, I just want to go back to the hotel. I'm tired because it had been a long day of travel. Which there was a lot. It was while I ate my way through Swiss cheese and Swiss chocolate and beer, we put on like we probably averaged walking 7 miles a day. And there's a lot of, we were in mountainous terrain, a lot of steps, especially when we were in Lucerne and Zermatt. So it was a lot of fun. Didn't see a single baseball card entire trip. I couldn't wait to wake up this morning and come down to my baseball cards. I saw, in fact, I don't even think I saw soccer cards. I did find my wife and I went early. So we were there 2 days earlier than our friends. We met them in Lucerne. We went to Geneva first. It spent 2 days in Geneva. And we were just walking around the city, and I saw a hobby shop. And it was basically, it looked like a card shop you would see here in America. But it was just, it looked like a shop you would see in America that sold Pokemon and basically a TCG only gaming store. It looked identical to what you see. Supplies, packs of cards, boxes of Pokemon, and all that. It looked identical to something you would see here in the States. Unfortunately, no sports cards, not even soccer. It was TCG only at this particular shop in Geneva. But I wanted to check it out just to see. I thought about buying some Pokemon cards just to say what the hell when in Rome, but I chose not to because I don't want to buy cards. I don't want to buy Pokemon cards. So those were the only cards in the entire 2 weeks. Those were the only cards I saw. And that was like second day, maybe. Geneva was cool. I think the best, we spent 2 nights in Geneva. 4 nights in Lucerne, 2 nights in Zermatt, 3 nights in Zurich. Zermatt was by far, I think, all around experience was really cool. Now, getting to Zermatt was like almost literally planes, trains, and automobiles. It was not easy. Now, Switzerland has also had historic rainfall. Fortunately, it was kind of dry. We really lucked out. There was only one day of heavy rain where we just got soaked. That was in Lucerne, but otherwise we dodged most of the rain. But they had a lot of rainfall, especially around Zermatt, and so much so that there were mudslides, and it took out the rails. The only way to get into Zermatt is by rail. There are roads, but there are no cars in Zermatt. 0 cars. They have like golf carts and trains. That's it. So it's actually kind of cool. But to get to Zermatt, we went to Zermatt from Lucerne. We had to take the train, like the regular, like Swiss rail, like the fast train to Visp. And then from Visp to Tash, we had to take a bus because the rail was down. The rail had been washed out from the rainfall. So then we had to jump on a bus in Visp to Tash, and then from Tash to Zermatt was another rail, like a slower rail, because now we're in basically the mountains. So I don't do well with heights, I learned. I've always known that I've been a little freaky deaky in around heights, but I didn't really know to the extent until this trip, being in the mountains. I have zero want to climb mountains, going backpacking in the mountains. I don't really care to go back to see any more mountains ever again in my life. The first trip into the mountains was when we were in Lucerne. We went up to Mount Pilatus, which was actually kind of cool part of the trip. We took a boat. Which was about an hour and 15 minutes around Lucerne, and then some other little towns along the lake. And then it dropped us off right at Mount Pilatus, basically. And then you have to take a cogwheel train up Mount Pilatus. Funny thing is, we could have driven there. It takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes from where we were at to get to Mount Pilatus by car. But we took the boat, which I'm glad we did because it was very scenic. Now, once we got on the cogwheel train, it's like straight up, which I don't mind. Like, I've been on like those small little things in like Pittsburgh. You know, they have those like little sightseeing things up the hill. But I've never been, that's like not even 10 minutes, like 5-minute ride. I'd never been on like a 45-minute cogwheel train straight up a mountain. Not my style. I was starting to get a little freaked out. And we're in this small compartment. I think there were 6 of us because there were the 4 of us. Oh, there's probably 8 of us because then there was a family from Minnesota with us. They were, I think, from Rochester. Very cool. And we ended up seeing them a couple times during the day. So we got up there and it's like, that took a lot out of me. But once I was up there on like flat land, like the views, as long as I'm away from the edge, I'm okay. But once I get to the edge, not cool. So then the second day, we had a private driver take us. He wasn't a tour guide. He was just a driver. Like, and that's what he said. He's like, somebody asked like, oh, what about this? He's like, I'm not a tour guide. I'm just your driver. Oh, okay. But he actually did. He was pretty helpful and pointed out some things along the way. So we went to a few Grindelwald, Lauterbrunnen, and Interlaken. Unfortunately, we didn't get to spend much time in Interlaken. We stopped in Lauterbrunnen, or we stopped somewhere first, and then Lauterbrunnen. Outside of Lauterbrunnen is like the world's only inside a mountain waterfall, which was actually pretty cool. Again, heights. I'm like, after yesterday at Mount Pilatus, I'm like, oh God, more climbing steps. So we go up and it's like, you're like on the side of a mountain with just like a skinny little rail. And I don't do that. And it's one way up, one way down. So it's not like you go up this way and you come down the other way. I don't like that. I have to now share space with these people coming down. I'm on the edge looking over, 6,000 feet down. Didn't dig that. So we get to the indoor, we're inside the mountain waterfall. I'm like, cool. My friends wanted to continue climbing and go up and see more. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stay back here. There's flat land. I'm away from the edge. I'm cool. I've seen it. So I stayed there. I was a little baby, a little sissy boy. I don't care. Don't do heights. And then the third day of heights was when we went up to view the Matterhorn, and we were at, I can't remember what the village or whatever is town named. That was really cool. The elevation really did affect me though. Once we got up there, and that was a cogwheel train, but it wasn't like climbing, like Mount Pilatus was straight up. This was more of a train. It wasn't like a small little car where you're jammed in and there's windows on all sides. This was a bigger train car, basically like a regular train. And there were more stops. It was more of a steady climb. It wasn't a straight up climb. So it did take longer, which I'm okay with that. So we get up there and you're over 10,000 feet above sea level once you reach the summit. And I was a little like kind of woozy. Like it took me a little while to get acclimated to the air up there. Great movie. But I was happy to get down back to land. And I think that was pretty much because that was the end. That was the last day in Zermatt. And then it was back down as we went to Bern and Zurich. Although and we toured in Bern, we went up into a clock tower and I'm like, damn it, I thought I was done climbing things. But actually the photo that's on the thumbnail is looking out the very top of the clock tower in Bern. Bern's kind of a like nasty city. Like it was the only city in Switzerland that was like, looked like an American city. Everything else was clean. The water, unbelievable. The water is so clear you can see the fish. I think the coolest view was we were at the Rhine Falls, which is near the German border. And you look out over the bridge and you can literally see these giant, I think they were giant carp swimming through the river. The water's so clean. When we were in Zurich, Lake Zurich, our tour guide was like, you can drink the water out of the lake. Like it is not recommended. They have clean fountains throughout the city. But if worse comes to worse, you can drink the water in the lake. That's how clean it is. The air is clean. The water is clean. The Swiss know what's up. And I'm trying to tell like our friend, like, why can't America be like this? It's because America's fucking huge. Switzerland's the size of Virginia. So, they're able to, their politics are great, but again, it's the size of Virginia. It's a little easier to control a population of 7-8 million and have them. Plus, it's a real melting pot. I didn't realize Switzerland. I didn't realize how diverse the country was. Like before we planned this trip, I'm just like, oh, Switzerland, they speak Swiss. Heidi, chocolate, watches, cheese. They speak Swiss. Swiss really isn't a language. There's a language called Swiss German, which even the Swiss who speak Swiss German say, yeah, but it varies between cities and nobody can understand each other. It's kind of like Cajun here. But basically in like Geneva, they speak French. In Zermatt, they speak Italian. In Zurich, they speak German. So depending on where you're at along the border. And those are like the main languages. A lot of English speaking. So that's nice. I don't have to learn other languages because I'm an American. Lazy Americans. We were in, I think it was when we got to Zurich, our cab driver, he had a great story. He was from Somalia, Mogadishu. And we were talking and I said, how many, because he spoke fairly good English. And I said, how many languages can you speak? Because he was talking about, in Somalia, I can't remember what language he spoke when he was a kid before he his parents fled. But he's like, not too many languages. And I'm like, "Well, I only speak one." He's like, 5, yeah, fluent in 3 or 4, but I can get my way around 5, maybe 6. I'm like, I speak English and I can count to 10 in Spanish. That's about it. I know a little Italian. I can ask the important questions in Italian. That's about it. Where's I saw Cooter commented, it's funny how standing on the edge of a mountain bothers me, but looking out a plane window is fine. Same, exact same. I can watch a plane take off. I can watch like sitting in a window seat. I can watch takeoff. I can watch the landing. No worries whatsoever. I have no issues with that whatsoever. But if I'm on a ledge, even if it's 5, 6 stories, I get the heebie-jeebies when I'm on the edge of something. But sitting on a plane, looking out the window at 30,000 feet above doesn't bother me whatsoever. All right, let's go to the chat. Cooter is in the house. By the way, I saw a package from Cooter I've got to dig into. Came in the mail unexpectedly. Donald, good morning. Harlan's in the house. Thank you. It's good to be back. It's so good to be back. So we landed. So let's see. We woke up. I got up about 7 a.m. Swiss time Saturday, which would have been midnight here in Wisconsin. And we went to the airport our driver picked us up at 9:45 to take us to the airport. And I'm like, man, this is kind of early because I think we boarded at like 12:30. So we had 3 hours. It's a damn good thing because it took 2 hours to get through everything. What we didn't know was yesterday was the first day of vacation holiday in Zurich. So like the last day of school was on Friday. And we knew that. We took a tour around Zurich on Friday and didn't really think anything about a lot of travel this weekend. Kids are out of school. Holiday begins. Well, the airport was a fucking we're thinking, oh, Zurich's going to be, when we landed in Geneva on the way there, we were in and out of the airport in like 3 minutes. We landed, went through customs, didn't ask a single question. They looked at our passport, stamp, boom, you're good. Go to our taxi or whatever. So easy. Zurich, not so much. It was packed. It was hard to get around. I don't remember jumping when we flew out of Belgium and Italy. I don't remember jumping through all the hoops to get through the airport as we did in Switzerland. But it was a mess. But we had a small delay flying out. I think maybe 20 minutes, but we made it up in the air. I think it was about an 8.5 hour flight. So we landed at 3:45 Chicago time, which would have been 12:45 Swiss time. Took us 2 hours to get off the plane and get our luggage. There were only, I think, 6 carousels from the international flights, maybe 8. And there were like 4 or 5 flights on each one. It's just jam-packed. Took forever. So finally got our luggage, get to our car, drive. My wife drew out of O'Hare because I can't drive for sure. Even though I know O'Hare is literally across the street from the national venue, in Rosemont. I still get confused. I've been there 50 times and I still get confused driving through there. So my wife drives out of O'Hare, and then we switch at Belvedere. And another reason I think I probably have a headache is when we switched in Belvedere at the Oasis off I-90, I'm like, I need some caffeine. And my wife was playing like some like acoustic music. And I'm like, this is putting me to sleep. So when I drive, I need different music and I need like a Pepsi. I need some like sugar and caffeine to keep me awake, even though it's only an hour and a half drive. So we made it. I was looking forward to checking out my garden when I got home, and it stormed. Like we beat the storm by like 2 minutes. We got a thunderstorm this morning, woke up at whatever time. So came in, loved on Biscuit. Hadn't seen Biscuit in 2 weeks. She was happy. Put my stuff away and climbed into bed about 9 p.m., which would have been 4 a.m. Swiss time. So now I'm up almost 24 hours. Woke up at midnight. This is where my jet lag kicks in. I can sleep like a few hours at a time, and it just sucks. I'll probably be zombie the next couple days before it wears off. Woke up again at 3. I think Biscuit had to go potty, and I got up. And then finally at 5, I'm wide awake and laid in bed for about a half an hour. Finally, I'm just like, screw it. I'm making some coffee, not mushroom coffee. I didn't drink much coffee. Obviously, there's no mushroom coffee. I didn't find any. Didn't really look either. But I had 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day while I was over there. Obviously, we ate out like every night, every day. So my diet went to shit. But hey, walking 7 miles a day helped, including those steps. So I am like super tired. There's definitely going to be a nap at some point in my future today. I came downstairs and got my laptop and my shipping room all staged so I can get caught up on shipping. I did finish I'd uploaded over 1,000 cards to Card Dealer Pro, and I took my laptop. So I was uploading cards while I was in Switzerland throughout the trip. And then I had 3 batches left. So about 250 cards I uploaded this morning. Bro, I forgot that I had a Goodwill pallet right before I left. And then I also forgot the bulk that I bought from Steve. I still haven't even gone through that. And next Sunday, I'm picking up over 50,000 serial numbers and refractors from the Singles Club as they drive on to the National. So they're driving right through Madison. Like, hey, we've got some stuff for you. So I'll have, and of course, I still have a bunch of vintage from that estate sale. So a lot of good stuff coming to my eBay store. Let's flash that on the screen. 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. Over 1,000 new cards, all vintage from baseball, basketball, and football added to my eBay store while I was gone. So go check those out and save when you buy 7 or more. I had decent sales while I was gone. I didn't put my store in like the true, I didn't shut down my store. I guess it was in quote vacation mode where it says out of office. This seller is away until July 15th. Expected delay. It'll be shipped by July 18th or whatever. So I'd had that message, and that really does suppress. That's all you need to do because your sales will be suppressed. So right now, I'm averaging, before I left, I was averaging about 120 orders per day. 120 orders per day. I've been gone for 13 days, and I have 383 orders to ship. So that's how much it suppresses. And that's promotions were the same. I was still listing cards while I was gone. I was answering messages. I was sending offers. I was accepting and declining offers while I was gone. So just that simple out of office is all you need to do if you're going to be away. And but I like to bring the laptop just so I can, or I guess you could do it from your app as well, just in case it's like, oh crap, I have 383 orders to ship by day 3 and you're gone for 14 days. Then maybe you shut it down for no sales. But the only thing that sucks is 5% of the orders. Why hasn't this shipped yet? It's like, well, you got to read the damn description. So that's annoying, but you just do it. Some people understand, they don't see. Some people are dicks. And that's what happens when you sell on eBay. Where we at? So check out my eBay. Mark's in the house. Good morning. Kyle is here. Good morning. Yes. And how about the welcome back that I got? Land. My wife takes over driving, and I saw something in a group chat about, and we thought like Richard Simmons was going to be the big news of the day. And I'm like, what happened to Richard Simmons? And oh, Richard Simmons passed away. And then it's like, oh shit, that wasn't the big news of the day. We had a assassination attempt on a presidential candidate. That was crazy. So that's kind of what consumed my passenger time on the drive last night. Mikey says, I missed you so much. It felt like a breakup. Oh, we're back together. We are back together. Thank you. Victor, there he is. You've been missed. Welcome back. No place like home. I love it. Even with this smashing headache I have, I am back. Thank you, Herman. Good to see you guys. Yeah, I came back, and all of a sudden it's like, can I go back to Switzerland? They know what the hell. They know how to run a country over there. They don't have a bunch of lunatics with guns and all that crap. Tina, what's going on? We are back. Donald Davis announcing another card show in Macomb, September 14th at the VFW. My buddy Mark mentioned that to me a couple weeks ago. I'd like to get down for it. We'll see. You know me, I don't like to plan. I don't like making plans. Mark, good morning. Orlando's in the house. What's going on? Good morning, Florida baseball dude. Gundy 98's in the house. Good morning to you. Cooter says it's funny how standing on the we talked about that. Tracy is here. Good morning. Stuke's in the house. What's happening? Cooter says, how many items did you have to ship when you returned? So 383 as of right now. 383, which is very attainable. You know, I can get that done. Today's going to be slow, but you know, I should have everything out by Tuesday. Because just getting reacclimated, I'll have other stuff to get caught up on, so won't be able to completely get it done by the end of the day tomorrow. But that's what it's been 13. Has it been 13 days? So that's about 30 sales a day while I was gone. Orlando says, did Guinness World Records really reject your 1 million Cubs record? Is it because you have no competition? So yes, they did. In fact, they've done it 3 times now. I've applied 3 times over the last few years. And I think that's why the email that I received in my latest, and I pay money for this. It's only like $5 to apply for a Guinness World Record, but I pissed away $15 on applications now. Guinness says, Dear Bo, thank you for sending us the details of your proposed record attempt for largest collection of Chicago Cubs baseball cards. Unfortunately, after thoroughly reviewing your application with members of our research team, we are afraid to say that we cannot accept your proposal as a Guinness World Records title. Well, it'll just be world title. It doesn't have to be Guinness. Our team of expert records managers receive thousands of new record proposals every year from all over the world. Each of these proposals are carefully assessed in order to determine whether they meet a stringent set of criteria. Every record verified by Guinness World Records must reflect a level of existing competition in a particular field and be measurable by a single superlative, be verifiable, standardizable, breakable, and clearly present an element of skill. So I think where lies in the question is measurable by basically standardizable. Is it standardizable? And I think that's probably where, how do you standardize a Cubs base? Because in my collection, you know, what is a Cubs baseball card? And, you know, that calls into question, is a custom card? Does that count? Should that count? Does it have to be a Topps baseball card? Or whatever. So I think that's the issue. And I kind of knew that. I mean, I've known that for the 7 years that I've been doing this, that is it, you know, are some people going to say it counts? Well, you have duplicates. Of course I do. But there's also custom cards. There's art cards. There's cards that have, you know, multiple players. Okay. Just because Mark Pryor's on the card and 3 other guys, does it mean it's a Cubs? So I get it. All right. Going on, Guinness says, therefore, record titles are not created to suit an individual proposal, but rather as a result of competition in a particular field. As we have been unable to establish any particular competition in this instance, we are not currently considering a record title which fits your proposal. So yeah. So I could go for world's largest baseball card collection. I think there's somebody had, it's like, it's not really true. It's like 6 million, but Burbank has how many millions of cards? 50 million, 60 million, 100 million. So I think I've resigned to, I'll just call it my own world record. Mark says, welcome back. My Mets hold a wild card spot and Hobby Evolution is on my laptop. All is right in the world. How about that? The Mets are back in contention. Mikey says, I miss Europe. It's awesome. Europe is great. I've enjoyed everywhere I've went in Europe. Mr. Archer, good morning. Thank you. It's good to be back. Mark says, did you have baseball and baseball card withdrawal? I did have withdrawals. I was able to watch. I watched a couple Cubs games just like now. Remember, I have games come on. They're 7 hours ahead. So it was like 3 a.m. So early on in my trip when I was getting jet lag, when I had jet lag, I was up throughout the night. So I the Cubs are on. So I watched a couple innings from my phone early on in the trip. But I didn't really have any baseball withdrawals because I can consume highlights and tweets and all that from my phone. But I did get a little, I was missing my cards. No sports cards in Switzerland. Low Roller sold a $120 card. He got paid in cash. There you go. A lot of Olympic cards selling well. Olympics could sell. Cooter says, listening and trimming sucker vines off the tomato plants. So I'm looking out at my garden right now. My tomato plants do not look good. Like usually by this time, I have an amazing tomato plant. And maybe I planted too many plants in the box. I think I planted 5 in the box, which usually I plant 4 and they are awesome. And what's funny is I did more to my garden this year than I've ever done as far as trim the lower ones and whatever the word is and do all that. I did all that. Still not really coming up. My cucumbers look awesome. And even before we left, there were a couple cucumbers that I could have picked. So those look good. What else do I have? My dill, of course, grows well. My fruit garden, my mother-in-law. So my mom stayed here the first 5 or 6 days that we were gone. And then my mother-in-law stayed here over the last week. And so she was kind of checking on the yard and garden and said the fruit garden does not look good. So looks like it stopped raining. So I'll go out there this morning and check things out. Christian, what's going on? Good morning. Low Roller says you can apply a Guinness record for North America. Cooter says Guinness started the record book to settle bar arguments. Google made it obsolete. That's a good point. So it was a fun trip. Glad to be home. And the funny thing is, and I noticed this when I was at spring training this year as well, I was really ready to come back the day before I came back. But I think it's just a mindset. And this happened when the first time I went to Europe was when we went to Italy. And it's like I'm ready. The last couple of days, I'm ready to go back. Notice that this time it was Friday. Our last full day was Friday. And we had a driver who scared the shit out of me. I don't think I've ever been afraid of being in somebody's car driving as I was with this driver. As soon as we left the hotel, he almost backed into a delivery truck Friday morning. Then he almost rear-ended somebody at a roundabout before we reached Germany. We went into Germany. And then on the way back, he almost missed a turn, had to slam on the brakes on the interstate. We were on, it wasn't the Autobahn, but there's no speed limit in Germany. So it's fucking fast and furious. And he's driving 120 miles an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to fucking kill us. But we survived. And that wasn't, we only went to the Rhine Falls and then we went to the Black Forest in Germany. And that was it. And it was really nothing to see in either place. The Rhine Falls was cool. Being in Germany was cool to say I'd been there, had a beer at lunch. Our German waitress, like if you would have asked me, picture a German waitress at a cafe in whatever city we were in. She is who I would picture. Our waitress looked like, what the hell was her name? Okay, I can't remember her name, but our waitress in Germany looked like what I would picture a German waitress to look like. She could kick all of our asses. Everybody in this chat. So that was funny. So I had a German beer in Germany. Black Forest, it's just a bunch of trees. The Rhine Falls, just a waterfall in the Rhine River. And it's like I'm so done. And I think what hurt that day, Friday, was the previous day, Thursday, we walked. I think it was our long, like we did 8 or 9 miles walking. We walked all over Zurich. We did the Lindt Chocolate Factory tour, which wasn't that great. The best part was the chocolate, obviously. If it wasn't for the chocolate, it would have sucked. But did a lot of walking that day. And I think it was towards the end, did so much walking Friday. It's, getaway days tomorrow. It's like we were done. We were done on Friday. And then when we got back to Zurich, it was like a severe thunderstorm. So we couldn't go out and have like a decent dinner on our last night. We ate at the hotel, which was okay, but food kind of sucks in Switzerland. They're not known for food besides cheese and beer. But they know how to do cheese and beer. Let me tell you that. Amazing cheese, amazing beer, or amazing cheese, amazing chocolate. Beer is good too. But they're not really known for beer. And of watches, I'm not a watch guy. My father-in-law, who's passed away, he gave me his first like nice watch, a Movado. And I just don't wear watches. Like I can't get comfortable wearing watches. I'm not a watch guy. But my buddy is. So he was in the market to buy a watch in Switzerland, and he wanted something he couldn't get here. Like he wanted something unique, and something that he couldn't just go to somewhere in America and buy. So we did some shopping in Lucerne, and then we ended up in Zermatt. It's a good thing he bought it in Zermatt because it was more in Zurich. Everything's really expensive in Switzerland, even more so in Zurich. So in Zermatt, we went into Breitling, and he found one that he wanted, and a lot of money. And they're like, and if you buy, you can have some beers. We ended up drinking 8 beers. We each drank 4 beers at Breitling. Most expensive beers he's ever bought. But it was fun. So he got his watch, and he didn't like it at first. And he's like, I don't know. This is big expense to not really like it at first. But by day 2, he's like, day 3, he's like, I really like this. I'm glad I got this. Like, okay, good. Because you spent a lot of money on that damn thing. There was, Zermatt's really cool. Zermatt, if you're ever in Switzerland, try to get to Zermatt. We really enjoyed the brown cow. Zermatt probably had the best food. Actually, it didn't probably have. It did have the best food. The brown cow, the burgers there were amazing. They have a lot of dairy. Cheese. So they have a lot of, their beef is really good. So the burgers at Brown Cow Pub was really good. We had a steak we ate one night at the hotel. The steak was not that, it was okay, but it wasn't like, oh, this is a great steak. No, it wasn't. What else did we have? Oh, and there was an Italian restaurant next to our hotel. This was probably the highlight food-wise. So the hotel suggested this restaurant. It's like, okay, they're probably just in cahoots, little greasy palm action. And it's in like this, like former, like, so it looks like the subway tunnel, but it's not. And it's like four stories down under the ground. and true Italian. The owner from Tuscany, and the pizza was so good. Burrata pizza. Oh my god! Because Zermatt's right on the Italian border, and so the chef owner, came by and was chatting with us at the end because my wife bought some olive oil, and he was just kind of talking about it. And we'd ask, there's a train car in the restaurant. We'd ask about that. And so he's like, have some wine. It's his family's wine. And I'm not a big wine. And this was red wine. I'm not a big wine. I never drink wine. And especially if I do drink wine, it's not red, it's white. And this red wine was the best red wine I've ever had. So he told us about his family story and all about where he grew up in Tuscany, and just one of the true highlights, which was just random, that just kind of happened. So that was fun. Other than that, other than Zermatt, the food elsewhere was just kind of, it was okay. It was okay. So that kind of sums up the trip. I'm glad to be back. Got cards to bring down still, a lot of shipping, and hopefully a little sleeping today. So Mark says, I came home just in time to watch some Hallmark Christmas movies. I'm not just, it's going to be in like the 90s this week. I can't get into Christmas movies in July. I just can't do it. I can handle it in October if it's cold and dreary. But if it's warm, if it's above 60 degrees, I can't watch Hallmark Christmas movies. One thing I did miss when I got back, and maybe that's another reason why I have this headache, is the humidity. I missed this Midwest humidity because it was actually, it's fairly chilly in Switzerland. Although it was warmer, it was unseasonably warm, which sucked in Zermatt because our hotel didn't have air, our rooms didn't have air conditioning, and it was in the 80s, which it like never gets in the 80s. So it was pretty stuffy in our rooms. So it's nice to be back in the hot and humid weather of the Midwest. I enjoy it. I know I'm in the minority. So that's what I had for today. Check out my eBay store. Added some new vintage. Check it out, 99centcards.com. This week is the Madison Card Show. We're at 200 tables. Where's the bargain boxer? He says you're going to get to 200 tables. I said, no, I don't want to get to 200 tables, but the demand was there. We're doing it. We're doing a TCG only room this month. I actually decided that in the airport on the way to Switzerland. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do a TCG only room. There's demand. So we've got 200 tables this month, Saturday, July 20th, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, 200 dealer tables, free admission. How many 200 dealer table shows out there have free admission? Probably not any. So come check it out, Madison, Wisconsin, this coming Saturday, 4 ballrooms. Don't forget, that's another thing I've got to do this week is I ordered a whole bunch of new sign stands for the hotel, or for me to put in the hotel so people know exactly where to go. So I'm going to be working on that here in the next couple of days, get those printed, and so nobody gets lost. So 4 ballrooms this Saturday. Of course, there's the upstairs Capitol Ballroom, which is where the show originated back in April of 2021. The mezzanine, which has almost 20 tables alone out there. On the first floor, the State Street Ballroom, which is on the, if you're coming in the front entrance, the main entrance, it would be in the back left. There's also an entrance straight from the back parking lot to the State Street Ballroom. That's essentially what we call the third ballroom because it was the third one we added. And the Williamson Ballroom, which was the second one in the back right, if you're coming in from the front desk. And then the Badger Street room, it's not really a ballroom, it's the Badger Street room. It's down the hallway to the right. So there will be signage. That'll be the TCG only room. So there'll be 20 tables, 25 tables in that room. So come on out. Madison Card Show this Saturday, July 20th, 200 dealer tables. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. I'll aim for 7 a.m. Central tomorrow with my jet lag. I don't know. I may want to sleep in. So the next couple days may be up in the air on what time I go live. But I will aim to get back on schedule soon. And who knows? It may be tomorrow. I didn't know coming in if I would go live at all today or not, but I was wide awake, so here we are. So like, subscribe. We'll do it again tomorrow. See you then.